Hi, cities. How are you doing? Welcome to Nine Sim. And thank you all so much for all the love and support. Hope you all are doing great. So, Esther from UTI podcast, the Asian woman who actually came out to stereotype Black women on podcast, right? And she got canceled, actually came out with an apology video. And why she was apologizing, she actually gaslit herself. Because how did you tell me that you are out here to apologize to people that you offended? You are at the same time reminding them that you are Asian. And also you have dealt with so many pretty hateful comments and all that. So you are telling us that probably why you said what you said was because you are also being stereotyped as an Asian woman. That is enough reason for you to be racist towards Black people, right? It's all right. And then she also went further to say that whatever she said was actually not her opinion. And I am asking who actually said that. She was the one that said it. Now, some people are really moving wild. Why did I say that? That apology is not apology. And they probably are losing money. And they felt like, oh, yeah, how are we supposed to do this? We have to just come out and apologize so we can move on with our podcast and all that. Do not fall for it. These people can make money with Black people thinking that they are smart. Let's get into this.
I don't want to say it. The reason why a lot of white women can't run movements is because if you kept your legs shut, a lot of our oppressors wouldn't exist.
What this creator is saying is actual factuals, like all facts, no cap. And there's actually historical basis for this too. Please read They Were Her Property, discussing how white women were also slave owners in the American South. It's a book written by Stephanie Jones Rogers. 10 out of 10, like 15 out of 10 would recommend. Required reading for women everywhere. There's further basis in this in the political scene, where in 2016, 53% of college-educated white women voted for Donald Trump in the U.S. presidential election, and then that number skyrocketed to 58% of college-educated white women voting for Donald Trump in the 2020 U.S. presidential election. Donald Trump, a serial sexual assaulter who publicly and proudly proclaimed he grabs women by their genitals, and then who appointed conservative Supreme Court justices who ultimately overturned Roe versus Wade and federal abortion rights and access for women all across the country. And those same white women who voted for Donald Trump both times were the main ones punching the air, screaming, crying, and throwing up when Roe versus Wade was overturned. There's further political basis for this in the American South right now, where the southern states who've already totally banned abortion with no exception are also now trying to ban IVF. And of course, white women are trumpeting up and saying this is unlawful, you shouldn't do this is our right to do this. And yes, you're right to say that, but my first question to you is, who did you vote for? Who did you vote for in your most recent statewide election or your most recent municipal election? Because elections have consequences, and I don't think many white women want to accept that. Who did you vote for? You ask that very pertinent question, and it gets quiet. It's crickets. It's either defensiveness, or it's deflection, or it's just basically denial of your own accountability. And white women are really good for giving a lot of lip service to girl boss and feminism and girl power until either one, the girl or woman in power in question is not a white woman. Please see Vice President Kamala Harris. Or two, the girl in question comes up against a white man. Then you have white women talking about getting rid of DEI initiatives, because without DEI initiatives, and how will their white sons and their white nephews and their white grandsons and their white husbands advance or have any opportunity? Because as we know, one of the core tenets of white supremacy is the fact that non-white people have to be 10 times as qualified to get half of what unqualified white people get. So inherently, white women are afraid that non-white women who are more educated, more credentialed, more skilled, more experienced, more qualified will jump leaps and bounds ahead of them because of DEI initiatives. Because at their core, most white women know they're skating by on white supremacy. They're coasting by on their whiteness. And then you see this reflected in interpersonal relationships, where you have these super progressive white women married to these like MAGA rats, Trump supporting diehard Trump lovers. And they just don't see the disconnect in that. They just don't see the disconnect in who you partner with absolutely reflects your own personal beliefs and absolutely influences the people whom you ultimately vote for and the movements you ultimately support. And if you're partnered with someone who is ultra conservative, then what that tells the rest of us is that you are fine with their ultra conservative views, so much so that you're willing to tie yourself to them legally for the rest of your life. You accept those views because ultimately you think their harmful views won't harm you because you're white. And then when you have that Kansas City Chief Harry, what the fuck ever his name is, Harold Butthole, up there delivering commencement speeches telling women they've been lied to about getting education and degrees and whatnot, then you have those same white women shocked and awed and clutching their pearls and saying he doesn't represent us. And yes, he does. He's a product of your upbringing. He's a product of your raising. He's a product of the interpersonal relationship you have with your husband or partner who is conservative. And as a result, that conservative person's ideologies and beliefs bleed over into how that child is reared and how they're brought up. And the end result is someone like Harold Buttface Buttkiss. Again, whatever the fuck his name is, Harold Butthole, because he looks like a butthole. That's what his face looks like. Whose mother is an accomplished, educated, like, astrophysicist or something like that, and his sister is, like, a scientist or something, if my memory serves me correctly. My facts might be wrong, but all that goes to show is that, again, white women just pay lip service to these movements, but don't actually have any intention of seeing these movements brought to fruition. We have to remember, in dismantling white supremacy, historically, it wasn't just white men who were advancing white supremacy. They could not have gone this far alone. They had support, they had help, they had backup from white women who are ultimately the foot soldiers of white supremacy. And I need white women to stop babying themselves, stop trying to infantilize themselves and say that they're helpless in this. No, you are absolutely helpful in this. There are several ways you can deconstruct and dismantle, and it is up to you to find out and research and learn what those ways are. It is up to you to do that work. Non-white women, we are tired of picking up y'all's fights, because every time we do, we get slapped in the face with a presidential election and with Supreme Court decisions that basically kick us in the rear. But then again, I only have a Bachelor of Arts in Sociology with a minor in Anthropology and a whole law degree, so what do I know? I'm just a DEI initiative.
Do not go harass this person because they bring up a very valid point. I use the term white supremacy as an umbrella for all of the systems of oppression. Purity culture, patriarchy, those to me are tools of white supremacy. And so I hear you when you say that we white women will in one breath, out of one side of our mouth, say we need to dismantle systems of oppression. And then out of the other side of our mouth, we will do everything we can to support white men in their bad actions, to uphold systems of power, and to say, well, we should really just be allowed to have access to the power and privileges that white men have traditionally had. So we're doing two different things. This is girl boss feminism. This is performative, right? If you need to see me as a hypocrite, I support that. I'm a white woman. I'm gonna get it wrong, particularly when it comes to issues of race. And my obsession, my push on my page, my bringing somatics here for people, and my bringing my politics here for people is because I believe that deconstruction is the most healing process you can partake in for yourself, for your family, for your community. As a queer woman who was victimized as a child, I have been grappling with the tools of white supremacy since I was a child. I didn't call it white supremacy as a child. I didn't call it white supremacy up until very recently. I really don't care what you call it. We all need to start this process of deconstructing homophobia, purity culture, evangelicalism. Like, we have colonized minds, and the process always starts within. And anything that I can offer on my page that's helpful, great. I trust my friends when they say I get it wrong. I apologize when I get it wrong because I'm gonna get it wrong. Look at me. I'm a white woman. And the healing can't be done as individuals anymore. It's gotta be community work. And I have found a community of people here who want to engage in this work with me, and I'm forever grateful that we are doing this work together. Have a really good day.
Hi, this is a friendly reminder to remind you that how you were socialized within the society, meaning how you were socialized within the privileges that you received and also the trauma that you received within society will show up in every avenue of your life, including your advocacy. It is your internal work to do the work to deconstruct some of that socialization that happened throughout your life and growing up when you were advocating in your spaces and things like that, meaning healing from some of the traumas and also letting go of some of them privileges, observing what those privileges might have tuned your mind to, because you can be all right and all that you think you do and things like that, but if you are socialized a certain way, those things that you were socialized in, those types of behaviors will explode and just mess some things up. It will mess them things up. And when you do mess up, because we all are going to mess up throughout as we're trying to do the things that we think are right, we're going to falter. It's probably best bet, actually less laborious and more efficient, to just accept when you like fuck up and like hurt people. Take the time to address how you were socialized in society and see how that socialization can show up in spaces, especially in marginalized spaces and things like that. And also, if you're a marginalized individual, also observe the traumas and things like that that have happened to you and how you were socialized within that trauma in society and how that might show up. It is not that difficult. Actually, it clearly very fucking much is, just to take a pause and self-observe yourself. Okay, observe yourself and how you were socialized in society, and check the spaces where you were advocating and things like that, of where that socialization is showing up, the socialization that you're supposed to be deconstructing from. Okay, as far as this conversation going on, I'm actually out the class because people are in math, art, science, and gym having conversations. So somebody throwing a tennis ball and then somebody in the art class yelling back, "Purple is blue and red." Like, it's y'all. Just check yourself. Just take the time, sit down, sit in it, and just check how you were socialized and say, hey, is how I was socialized showing up in my advocacy space? And is it causing a wreck? And then is the wreck also be responded to? Just take a second. Okay? Take a second. Somebody said, oh, you seem so calm. It's distress management. And maybe it's from experience and how I was socialized under war and things like that, to understand that you need to have an internal regulation in order to see clearly and deconstruct, so that when you present yourself in spaces, you don't cause a fucking mess either direction. Okay, but yes, I really want people to understand that how you were socialized, specifically in privilege within class and race, how you were socialized in society, even if you think you're doing the right thing, it will show up in that space. And it's your job, when you make that mistake, to take a break, take a second, take a breath, and just think, okay, let me just say, my bad. Okay, let me just try this shit again. Okay? And also, like I said, the trauma you were socialized under, can't express. I just wish we would all just take a fucking breath. Just take a breath. Okay. Anyways, y'all election thing coming up in a couple days, isn't it? Actually, your election for your corporation. You're voting on the national manager of Walmart. Talk about that another time.
So this is all I got from this video, the constructing and all that. The truth is that you already have to be calling yourselves together, because Black people are tired of educating you people and telling you people what to do and what not to do. And majority of the times, you all are always like, how can we help you people? I mean, I think they just say this for saying sake. And when they say, you see them sneak out and never come back to look for, I mean, like, to do the needful. Also, I have also watched this deconstructing Karen, where, one thing about them is that they are always very ready to start crying when something happens, or start making it look like, they don't know what is happening and they don't know how to go about it, or can you teach us what to do and what not to do, One thing I understand about deconstructing your white supremacists is that you have to do this by yourself. Black people have been teaching you all these years, and that they are tired of teaching and they are no longer teaching. And I do not even also advise anybody to teach them, because there is nothing as good as you finding out that this is not okay, at the same time looking for a way to correct it. It makes more impact than me telling you this is not good, this is how you are correct, you are going to correct it and all that. So you go out, do the needful, do what you are supposed to do, get books, read books, search for what you are supposed to do and what you are not supposed to do. I have also found out, did I find out today? Like I said, I also found out, like, I am beginning to know them, These people can do and undo, especially when it comes to their women, People that will know that this particular thing is not good for them. But because they already know that, oh my God, like, I already have to do it, and come back in the end to tell you that, yeah, I did it and I am sorry, or we have to apologize. See, they will vote against their own interest, knowing that they are doing it. They know that as long as Black people do not benefit from it, as long as Black people do not benefit from it, it's okay. They would rather vote against their interest or do something against their own interest, and come back in the end to ask you, can you say democracy? Can you do this? Can you do that? I already said this several times, and I ain't nobody serving democracy this year or next year. Whatever happens, you all continue to be like that. But something that I am assuring you all is that, or I am also telling Black people is that you really you can't continue educating them. You can't continue telling them. Let them go do their research. They construct as much as they can. Like the other woman talked about what happened to her. Quite sad that happened to her. They did not tell her it was white supremacists, but as she kept reading and making research, you found out what it is. One way or the other, they will absolutely look for a way to cover up some certain thing. It is what it is. See you all in my next video. Bye for now.